Larry Hama confirmed that Wild Bill was based on an old army buddy of his named Bart Wolf. Bart actually served with Sergeant Light, who was the real-world basis for Unmasked Snake Eyes. In G.I. Joe issue 233, he included a photo of Bart, and he definitely looks like Wild Bill. He also said that Ron Rudat designed the look of Wild Bill, but as soon as he saw the sketch, he knew it had to be Bart. Wild Bill says, "It's my job to get the boys in to do their job, and if that means hanging tough in a hairy situation, that's okay. That's what I get paid for. Heck, if it was easy, they could get anybody to do it." He's our resident helicopter pilot, and he's the focus of today's video. So let's talk about him. Before we start, though, I do want to thank you for watching JLS Comics, whether it's your first time here or you're back for more. Don't forget to share this and subscribe so you don't miss all of our videos that we make each week, just like this one. Let's get on to the story. With no relation to either Ed or Tom, Wild Bill's government name is William S. Hardy, Bill for short, and he hails from the heart of Texas, a city called Brady. His Action Force counterpart, though, hails from Hull, England, where he joined the British Army as infantry and deployed to Aden and Brunei before enlisting as Army Air Corps, his last stop before the Joe teams. In U.S. continuity, William grew up in Texas and developed everything you'd think when you think Texas. The drawl, the affinity for country music, and that cool cowboy swagger. Bill served during the Vietnam War as a combat infantryman, participating in long-range recon patrol, LARP, going cowboy style on their enemy and earning the name Wild Bill for his wild antics. But Bill actually grew tired of being an operator on the ground, so he went to Flight Warrant Officer School, became proficient with a stick, and started with medevacs, which most likely meant Hueys, jumping in on hot LZs to pick up wounded for immediate dust-offs. There are certain pivotal points in G.I. Joe lore that act as convergent points where disparate storylines meet and where everyone is changed afterwards. One such convergence happened Bill. Now the G.I. Joe team on an early mission had to go pick some of them up for an immediate egress. Scarlet, Grunt, Rock and Roll, and Snake Eyes were on a hostage rescue mission out in the desert, and this was actually told via G.I. Joe comic book issue 27. Well, the engine stalled and flamed out, and everybody bailed except Scarlet, whose gear was stuck, and Snake Eyes, who rescued her. And so after their helo went down, it was Wild Bill who came in on a medevac chopper to pick them all up. They all made it out, but old Snake Eyes was permanently disfigured and forevermore would wear the black mask. When the team was formally expanded from the original core roster, it was Hawk who made him an official Joe. He actually first appeared in the comic book world in 1983's issue 11. The same year his action figure was released, but we'll get to that later. In that debut issue, Wild Bill showed up in the snowy Alaskan battlefield to pick up some wounded soldiers. And throughout his tenure with the team, Wild Bill been a critical part of many operations, although primarily in a support role. With his Dragonfly, his Locust, his Tomahawk, or behind the stick of a C-130 transport plane, he'd be the Joe to drop a team in-country or exfil them, or to provide fire suppression and fire support from just off the ground. Being one of the few craft in the air makes him a nice target for Cobra. When Telmex and Xamot showed up at the fair, Wild Bill almost took them out with his helicopter just before fled into a sewage drain on their ATV. He was shot down by Destro in issue 27, and again in Special Mission 4, their plane went down with Roadblock, Leatherneck, and Lifeline aboard. In that issue, they were carrying a stolen Cobra Firebat when the October Guard shot them down and they were forced to fight their way out of the jungle. And later, guess what? He crashed again. The Joes were in Sierra Gordo to rescue the ambassador during a political revolution. Wild Bill was at the airport waiting for the extraction team when the plane was taken over by Zermana and the Dreadnoks. Forced him to leave prematurely, but was shot down by a salvo of anti-aircraft fire. He made it out, but he had to work with the Dreadnoks to make it happen. During Cobra Civil War, he was also shot down. He was alright, and Doc actually was talking with Lifeline and commented on all of his crashing incidents. He said, "Wild Bill has had a lot of practice at crashing and burning, Lifeline." They all made a joke out of it, even though that's expensive to keep ruining. Wild Bill helped out during the Millville operation. He was also there during the Battle of Benzine and even pulled Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes from the consulate building. And Wild Bill remained with the team until issue 155 saw them officially decommissioned, and then during the non-Homoverse time period, he was active reserve. His V6 figure, which came out during this time, came with the Missile Storm helicopter. He was black and silver and part of the Valor vs. Venom line, and his V7 figure was released with a shaved head and Tiger Force fatigues. He also came with the Tiger Force Tiger Rat. And this is not without precedence. His Action Force story tells us that he had to head into Jordan to pull out Scarlet and Ghost Rider, who were tasked with destroying a X-19 Phantom that had been shot down, which was a Tiger Force mission. In 1988, in the US, there was a proposed Tiger Force action figure. However, this never made it to store shelves, although Recondo was renamed Wild Bill in Europe, and that was released. Tiger Force Wild Bill was supposed to come with the Tigerfly. So back to comic books, we finally meet up with his canon self in issue 160, where Wild Bill meets up with Duke in Barovia with a C-130 transport plane. In issue 170, he and Lift Ticket are piloting a Tomahawk, inserting Roadblock, Scarlet, and Flint into Barovia to capture Darklon, with Recondo as his door gunner. On the way out, Darklon and Lady J are hit with small arms fire, and with hydraulic pressure dropping, the starboard engines aflame, and 2 critically wounded, it was a hairy ride back to the USS Flag. The engines flamed out and power cut out, so Wild Bill had to drop the Tomahawk down hard on the flight deck. He took some time off, but showed up again in issue 187, where he had to pull the team out of Trucial Abysmia after an incident with the Krytron, a nuclear device, prison, and Pale Pony. In the next issue, he provided aerial fire support for the team as they boarded a freighter off the coast of Kalingalad and ran into the Black Major and his Red Shadows for the first time in United States continuity. He was with Lift Ticket and Lifeline with Roadblock on door guns. As Tomahawk touched down on the deck, this is the mission where we see Wild Bill actually shoot someone with his pistols, I think, for the first time. I don't remember it ever happening before. In 204 and 205 on the mission with the Tomahawk, pull Dr. Burkhart and the Joe team out. Their helos hit, fuel problems ensue, but then both Lift Ticket and Wild Bill are grazed with bullets. He was, of course, present at Snake Eyes' funeral ceremony, and Wild Bill continues to serve his vital role on the team to this day. In the Sembo cartoon, Wild Bill was voiced by the legendary Frank Welker, dressed differently from his comic book counterpart, but does retain the accent and affects of a proud Texan. He's featured in the Stranger Danger PSA 2, and in season 1 of the cartoon, he also took some Joes to El Toro Loco Dude Ranch that had been bought by Cobra's, a shell company. And since it's Christmas this week, at least of the time of this filming, we have to mention the episode called Cobra Claws Are Coming to Town. Here, Wild Bill says he is the Queen of England. Jump back to the action figure world.
Wild Bill to the rescue!
Wild Bill's V1 action figure was released in 1983 as part of Series 2 and came with a cavalry hat and olive drab fatigues. His second release in 1992 had a new loadout in the XM207 hypervelocity missile launcher, although the schematic labels it as a CRT-92A missile launcher. Take your pick. This version came dressed in Air Cavalry color scheme with blue and yellow. That V1 action figure was exclusively packaged with the XH-1 Dragonfly assault helicopter, a rather potent asset on the battlefield with its various wing-mounted pylon armaments like the M34 grenade launcher, flame gun, the Sidewinders, AGM-112 sidearms, TOW, anti-tank missiles, Hellfire missiles, M28 chin turret, or the XM-230 chain gun. It's also been mounted with an X551 60 Mike mini cannon and laser-guided 160mm cannons. Unlike its real-world inspiration, the Bell AH-1 Cobra, which is now the Zulu Cobra, the AH-1Z Viper. Bill has used all of these. But I'm digressing again, so there you have it, the full story of Wild Bill. And that's a wrap on this one, my friends. As always, I do look forward to your comments, questions, corrections, and suggestions down in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe so you can be a part of all of our videos, new and old. I really do appreciate you being part of this ever-growing family we have going on here. I'm Jesse, this is JLS Comics. See you soon.